Allie. Join me as I show you how to do these bezeled ladder earrings. They're nice and shiny. You can do them in a number of different materials, and they're using a new way to do a bezel around a 14mm bead. Gather up your materials that are listed below the video and join me in creating. So to begin this video, we are going to be doing a ladder stitch that we connect to hold in a Rivoli. I'm using a 14mm Rivoli, and our count for this is going to be 20. We're going to do 20 rows of ladder stitch with 15s and 11s, and then I have some 2 or 3mm bicones and then also some 14mm Rivolis. To begin, we're going to put on our needle and thread a 15-0 and an 11-0. We're going to drop that back to the bottom of the size 11 needle and 5 feet of dragon thread. I'm going to put on an 11 and a 15, and we're going to sew back up through that first row of our ladder stitch, going from the 15 and coming out the 11. Once we pull that thread through there, the 11s are going to sit next to each other and the 15s are going to sit next to each other. Bringing your needle and thread down then through row 2 of the ladder stitch, you are going to go through the 11 and through the 15 and out. That actually completes the second row of the ladder stitch. Now you want this to be nice and tight and sit right next to one another. From here, I'm coming out the bottom, so I'm going to add a 15 because I'm doing a 15 next to a 15 and then an 11. We're going to go back through our previous row, sewing down from the 11 down towards the 15. And this will be our third row of our ladder stitch. Remember, we have 20 total that we're going to do. Pulling nice and tight then, I'm going to go back through the 15 and the 11 and out. Now I'm out on the side of the 11, so I know I'm going to add an 11 and then a 15. It's always going to be that the 11s sit next to one another and the 15s sit next to one another. Back up through that row that you just finished, and then once again through the row that you just added. Again, I have 4 of these. I'm going to continue on until I have a total of 20. And then I'll show you how we're going to loop it together. Do you want to get half-price kits every month? With the monthly kit subscription, you'll get 3 new kits for only $59.99, including free shipping. And you can pause or cancel your subscription at any time. And this month, new subscribers get an additional free kit as a welcome gift. Visit PotomacBeads.com/subscribe or click on the link in the description. As you're progressing, you're going to notice a natural curvature start to occur. Reason being is because the 11s are bigger than the 15s, so it's going to naturally curve that the 15s are going to sit towards the interior of the curve and the 11s are going to sit towards the exterior of the curve. You want that to happen. You don't want it to sit straight because that's the effect that we're going for when it comes to the bezeled Rivoli, is that we're using this ladder stitch with those 15s that are smaller in order to have that be the center of the piece. I'm going to keep going here, tightening this up. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, only 8 more to go. Once you've got your 20 on, it's time to bring them together and make a loop. So I'm going to take my needle and thread. I'm currently coming out of the 15 from row number 20, and I'm going to go up the 15, out the 11 of row number 1. Just kind of push that tail out of the way there. Whoops. Be nice if I went the right way, huh? So we're going to come out of the 15 of row number 20 and go into the 15 of row number 1. Going out the top of the 11, and then pulling that tail out of the way, you're going to connect these two by going down through the 11 and the 15 from row number 1, and then to finish it off, we are going to come up through the 20th row, or the first row there, rather, and out through the top. That is the interior of our bezel, those 15s and the 11s. Now what we're going to do is we are going to add an 11 OC bead that sits on the top of the unit. So we're going to add an 11-0 here, and then we're going to sew down through that unit again. This is the back of the piece. As we sew down through this unit and come out the bottom, We are connecting the ladder at the top with the 11. Now, those that know ladder stitch, why did I wait to do this until now? Just because it's easier for beginners. But if you want to put that on first, you can. On the interior here, we're going to pick up a 15 and sew up through the next row. When we come up through the next row, we're going to add an 11 and we're going to sew down through the next row. So we're going up and down along the rows. We came up row number 1, added an 11, came down row number 2, added a 15, up row number 3, add an 11, down row number 4. As we come up 5 then, we'll add a 15 that's going to be towards the interior. Going up then, and you're going to continue the whole way around the piece. What this is going to add is 10 of your 11s and 10 of your 15s towards the interior. 10 11s on the exterior, 10 15s towards the interior. Once you get back to the beginning, the last one that you have is to put on a 15, and you're coming up the 15 that has the 11 right on top. Now, I did this actually during a Facebook Live showing how to do this technique that I did. And you can also just ignore those 15 O's in the middle. That's totally acceptable too. We're going to come through our first 11 O, and what we're going to do is start another grouping of ladder stitch. These two groups of ladder stitch are going to sit side by side and kind of fold together, one going to the front and one going to the back. That 11 O seed bead that's right there is the 11 O that we just added. From here, I want you to pick up an 11 and a 15 and a 15 and an 11. We're going to go back through this 11 O seed bead here, and we are going to circle up, seeing that that's connecting there. I'm going to go through the 11 and down through the first 15. Nice tight pull. And now we're going to do one more row of ladder stitch. A 15 because we're coming out of the 15 and an 11. Sewing back down through the one that we're coming out of. We are going to then go back up through the 15 and the 11. As we come out the top here of the 11, whenever we're coming out the 11, we know that we need to sew through the 11 that we added as a little trim at our ladder. Pick up your next 11 and 15 and sew up through the 11 and the 15 of the ladder stitch that you're doing on the opposite side here. Skip that 11 O seed bead and sew back down through the ladder stitch. That gets that nice and tight towards the interior. So this is going to fold back like this, and we're creating our second row. Coming out the 15, I know I need to do a 15 and an 11. Connect back to that row of ladder. After I connect back to that row of ladder and I'm coming back through the 15 and the 11, once I'm out the 11, I know I have to sew through the 11 that's there on the ring previous. Add an 11 and a 15 and sew back up through. Now, could you sew back through the 11 again? Yes, but the reason that I'm skipping it is because that gets that nice ladder stitch nice and tight. Pull your thread, not your needle, to tighten that up. And as we build, it's going to start turning on itself here. So you're going to have a front and a back. This continues, 15 and an 11, and continue on. So you're going to have 20 rows of your ladder stitch on the second side here of the piece as well. And again, every time you're coming out the 11, you're going to give a nice tight pull and then sew through the 11 that you added as the trim at the top of the ladder. As we go around and create this little basically tire or pocket, we're going to get to a point where we need to grab our 15 or our 14 millimeter Rivoli. Bag's sticking on me here, of course. And after we grab our Rivoli here, we're going to put that in to sit towards the top. So continue that ladder stitch, adding your second row. And as we get ready to kind of close this up and join them together, we're going to get ready with our Rivoli. Again, once you're getting towards the center here, your Rivoli pocket basically is starting to close up. We are going to push that starter thread to the back. If you can't access it later on, that's going to be an issue. And I'm going to show you the back versus the front. So you can see the Rivoli kind of sits right in there. If you would rather have that little picot trim, you can make this the front. No rules to say which is front and back, and you can always add in too after the fact. That's totally fine. So I'm going to make the little picot trim my back, and I'm going to put my Rivoli down in there. I'm on my last section where I have my 11-0 coming through here. So I'm going to do an 11 and a 15, pinching my Rivoli in there, going back up through that last row of my ladder stitch like we've been doing. Nice tight pull, back down through the 11 and the 15, skipping over that one there. And then as I go back here, I need to join together. I'm going through the 11 that's there, or the 15 and the 11. We're going to close up that gap, pull the Rivoli in tight. See how it's almost like magic that it happens there. I'm going to tighten this up just with my fingers going back through. And here I'm going to go back down through that center. Nice tight pull. And that pulls that in towards the center. I'm going to go back up through row number 1 of the ladder stitch, just like we did on the other side when we were linking them together. And that creates your little bezel for your Rivoli. Again, if you want to, you can add a 15 towards the interior. It's completely up to you. And if you like better the back where it has a little picot trim, you can make that the front as well. Now we get to have really easy fun and kind of decorate the outer edge. When I'm decorating the outer edge, I'm going to go out through an 11-0 seed bead. That's along the side here. Right out. Nice tight pull, and then I'm going to get ready with my crystals to add them to my outer edge. Coming out that top 11-0, we're going to add a 15. Then we're going to add our crystal, either a 3 or a 2 millimeter. I'm using a 3 here. We're going adding an 11. I'm going to sew back down through the crystal and the 15. The 11 is going to work as an anchor and just basically hang out there on the top. I'm going to add an additional 15 to work in between and then do another group of my 15 crystal 11. I'm going to let that drop down next to my piece here. Ignore the 11, sew back through the crystal and that first 15 and then through the next 11 that sits in line. Give a nice tight pull so you don't see any extra thread showing. And we're going to continue this whole thing around. So we have 10 beads that we are connecting to, and we're going to end up putting in 20 crystals. We do the 15 crystal 11. You go back through just the crystal and the 15. After this, we're going to make up some space in the gap by adding an additional 15. And then we repeat the pattern. 15 crystal 11. Back through the crystal and the 15. As you do so, you just want to make sure you don't have a lot of extra thread showing. I usually kind of pinch it, push down that 11, hold that bead, and then once again go through the next 11-0 seed bead after you do your 2 sets there. That's it. You're going to go around doing that whole thing. So I've got 2 sets done of 2. I need to do 8 more sets of 2. As you add in your last one here, gotta pinch that down, give a nice tight pull on your thread. You can either keep it fun and funky like this, almost like the whimsical earrings, or you can connect them. So when you connect them, it's really simple. You're gonna look at the negative space between the 11-0s and we're gonna add beads in between. Depending on your crystals, you might need a 15-0 on each side. So what I recommend is kind of trying it out. And I'm going to go up through that first 15 crystal and then out through the 11-0 seed bead. Just to show you the back there too, in case you wanted to do that picot trim on the front. You're going to do the 11-0 seed bead there. And now we're going to go around the circle, adding in a crystal in between each of those negative spaces. So you're just going to take crystal, sew through the next 11-0 seed bead. Crystal, sew through the next 11-0 seed bead. And again, if the fit isn't quite right by the time you get around, usually about halfway around, you'll be able to tell how it's hanging and how it's sitting. If it's not quite right, you can add one 15 after the crystal. If it's not quite right, add a 15 before and after the crystal. So this last outer edge, if you decide to do it and kind of join this together, you can pick and choose exactly how you want it to look. You can also join the outer edge here with 1, 2, and 3 15s, and then into that crystal as well, just for some of that darker color on the outside. Especially if you're not crazy about a big earring, that's another way to go in and to do your piece. After you go around and add in all of your crystals, I took my thread and needle back through a couple more of the crystals just to go in and to kind of tighten it up. What I'm going to do now is I am going to go through coming out of one of my crystals here on the side. We're going to add in our wire guard. So to add in our wire guard, I want to add one of my 15s, go up through the wire guard, which is, you've never used one before, they're great. They make a really finished, polished look. I'm going to come down through the wire guard on the opposite side. It's like a horseshoe where it has that channel in the interior there. I'm going to add another 15, and then I'm going back through that same crystal from the opposite side that my thread is coming out of. That pulls it right along the top and kind of completes that look. We're going to reinforce going through that same 15 wire guard, 15, down through on this side here. And then we're going to go through the 15. And now we're going to go towards the interior of the project. To go to the interior of the project, I want you to go through one of the 11 O's on the outer edge, down through the crystal that sits below it, through the 15O below that. If you want to, you can go around the ladder stitch one more time, kind of tightening it up. I'm going to go through that 15, or back, sorry, through the 11, rather, that's underneath. And as we go through the 11, I'm going to take my needle and thread, not through any beads, just to the back of the project. Because that starter thread is right here on the back, what we're going to do now is look and how we can get this starter thread and our thread that we have back towards the same place. We then tie the two threads together, and that finishes the earring. So I'm going to go back through the ladder stitch here, going back along. If you want more of the back covered, in my sample piece, I actually went through and between each one of the 15s here, along the back, I added in an 11 OC bead, and that kind of closed that up a little bit more. We're going to continue on. All I have to do then is nice and tie that knot together, burn those thread edges down, grab an ear wire, open up that ear wire by turning it to the side, put that earring on, and close it up. After you make your second one, your piece is finished. It's nice that you can go in and kind of make the front, the back, the front, and I hope you enjoyed this technique and way of doing the Rivoli bezel. It's quite simple. Thanks so much in creating these ladder bezeled earrings with me. It's really fun to learn a new way to connect a bezel together and to hold that Rivoli in place. The more you do it, the easier it gets to kind of pull that tight. And I love the idea that you can do the front or the back with that little picot trim. Remember to post pictures of yours in our Facebook group for beading and jewelry making. We would love to see it. And if you do a smaller size, let us know in the comments exactly how many ladder units you got instead of the 20. That helps out the community at large. As always, if you haven't yet, hit that little subscribe button so you don't miss anything from us here at Potomac Beads. Thanks so much for watching, and stay tuned for more inspirational designs.